Yeah, that's
how would you
yeah.
label this particular feature?
I don't know. Do you know? I hadn't prepared
Not
it. Just
title.
well, Gentleman's Quarterly have nicked my idea. That would have been a great title for it, I think, because I would only be bothered to do it every 3 months. You know, be too idle to do it any more frequently than that.
But yes, basically there's people seeking advice for how they should behave in certain ways. How would the gentleman behave? And we've got a few of those we need to do that people sent in last week. We haven't mopped them up, so we'll do that after this track from Adam Green. Adam Green, of course, one of the Mouldy Peaches, and Mouldy Peaches are having something of a renaissance because of the fact they feature on the Juno soundtrack. But Adam Green has a new album out, and here from it is a single, Morning After Midnight. Oh, yes, almost caught me unawares again. Man alive, I'm too busy wittering about other important stuff, though I'm not even paying attention to the important music, which is what the show's all about, of course. It's all about the music on Sings Music. Adam Green from his new album, Sixes and Sevens, and that is released as a single on the 3rd of March, which is today, is it? Or tomorrow? Tomorrow, yeah, Morning After Midnight, and the album is out at another, 10th of March, so I look forward to that. You had a quick email that you wanted to throw in the mix.
Yeah, we've had an email from Evan in America, although I was in America recently and I didn't see him, so I'm not sure he's telling the truth. He says, Steve, I have a question for you. Is there going to be some great music today?
There damn well is going to be some great music. You've come to the right place if you want great music, but also if you want new music, of course, because that's what Six Music is all about. And of course, in our world, new music does not necessarily mean it's a new release. It could just be a song you've not heard before. Talking of which, we need a musical choice from you before we can get to Rufus's conundrums.
Oh, good. My track this week is by a band called the Happy Bullets, who are from Texas. And again, this isn't particularly new. It's from 2005, but I only picked up on it recently. Their album is called The Vice and Virtue Ministry. This sounds a bit like generic indie fluff, but lyrically it's really quite nice. It's called If You Were Mine.
Harry's choice on the Steve Show today. It's the Happy Bullets?
Yeah, the Happy Bullets. The track's called If You Were Mine.
Thank you very much indeed. Back after this trail with the gentleman's questions answered.
New music. Six Music.
New music on Six, and coming up later as well, very excited to announce that we have Get Cape, Wear Cape, Fly in session here live on the show, so look forward to that. Sam Duckworth coming in later on. But last week, yes, in an effort basically to distinguish this show from the other shows which feature a lot of wittering on radio stations, we have tried to remix it for 2008 and make it a little bit more functional, a bit more user-friendly for you, the listener. This is a public service broadcasting network, of course, the BBC. We need to provide you, the listener, with something you can take away and use. That is our license fee duty. And so last week, and it's really one of the most useful things that I think we've ever done, Ever the gentleman, Rufus, has very kindly agreed to offer his insight, his wisdom, as someone from the upper classes. With for you, the listener, if you have a conundrum, a gentlemanly conundrum, and I suppose in a way we should broaden that out, the gentlewoman as well. We could always get kind of Sammy's take on it, and then just advise the opposite. And I'm presuming that is how you work out what the gentlewoman's view is. That's it, isn't it? So anyway, yes, we had a few that we didn't manage to get to last week, Roof, and I know people are people out there desperate for your help. Here's one from Sam. Could you advise me? Oh, actually, yeah. Sorry, we forgot.
We get the bed.
We must play some music now. I'm sorry. I know it's the first time we've ever had a bit of production on the show, and I completely forgot it was coming up. She's thrown down the headphones, and in a sense, that's a gauntlet to any of us that she's thrown down. No, of course I didn't mean production in terms of. Oh, never mind. You know what I mean. Get on with it. Could you advise me as to whether my university lecturers are my friends or not? Do I smile at them when I pass them on the street? Even more awkward, do I smile at my therapist when I pass him? Even worse, do I start a conversation with him when we somehow end up standing at the same bus stop? Please, my days are a whirlwind of socially ineptness. So there you are, Rufus. I mean, I don't know what you can offer there.
Well, Steve, I think it's a very good question. And it's a question about, does a gentleman talk to somebody out of context?
Right.
Would you, if you saw your plumber in your local hostelry, I'm glad I've run into you. I'm having terrible trouble with my pipes.
Sure,
you wouldn't. You'd say, how are you? Let me buy you a pint. And did you see the game today? You wouldn't. It's vulgar to speak to people about matters of the workplace when you're in a social or public environment.
Is it? Okay.
So I would say. So my answer to that is certainly with the lecturer. If you come up to them with the hello David. I wonder. I've been thinking about the thorny issue of Descartes' sense of self.
Sure.
That you mentioned in your lecture on Monday. I was wondering. I've been reading some extra, and people are going to be overhearing, thinking just can it?
Yeah, it's inappropriate. I understand. Yeah.
Maybe it's just what.
So, what would you strike up? Because you feel you need to acknowledge them in some way. You need to say something. Surely.
Absolutely. You do it in the way that you might, with no shame or embarrassment. Just hello, how are you? Nice to see you. bit of idle. What the British do best: a bit of idle chat about the weather. Maybe a nice comment on his facial hair or suit if he's wearing one.
Sure.
Maybe a little comment about your own appearance that might, pass the day along a little bit quicker. But just keep it polite. I think respect the private space of other people's work environments. So don't talk to the therapist in the street about the thorny issue of your mum's your relationship with your mother. Save that for the locked room with the quiet deafened walls and the comfortable couch.
Sure. It's interesting. I think that the therapist in this question is taking the bus.
Yeah, I'd get another therapist.
Yeah,
probably.
really quite a poor therapist if he or she is taking a bus, for goodness sake. I mean, there's your first mistake. A question that just kind of seems to naturally stem from that, and this is something I've always found very awkward, is, I might make a bit of sort of light banter, as you say, about the weather or whatnot on my clothes, but I find it very difficult to know when to extract myself from that conversation. Because I don't want to maintain it. The lecture, it's very awkward, as you say now.
Yeah.
How do I politely extract myself from the conversation? For instance, if I'm getting on a bus with them, should I feel impolite for not sitting next to them? How do we go our separate ways? When do we know it's time to move on?
The best way to do that is to flatter them into thinking that they're too busy to talk to you, I think.
Okay, brilliant.
It's often the best way to finish a phone call, I think. I'm going to let you go now. It's that sort of thing.
Of course.
Of course, in the workplace, that's become a cliche. If, listen, Alan, we're making some changes in the sales team and we're going to have to let you go. That's a euphemism now. To say to someone on the phone who you've been on the phone with for 15 minutes, and to be honest, you're pretty bored of the conversation, you say, look, I know you're busy. I know you're really up against it. I'll let you go, and listen, I'll give you a call back. That sort of thing.
Brilliant.
So with the lecturer or the therapist in the bus queue, it's well, look, don't let me hold you up. A lot of that sort of stuff.
Sure.
And they're left feeling important, and oh gosh, he thinks I'm busy, and maybe I am busy, and that gives a little lift to their day. And
so if you're an 18-year-old, you should somehow contrive to make a 50-year-old lecturer feel more important.
Yeah.
Okay.
Busier
and more important than you.
Yeah.
Sort of long-haired students.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Cool. All right. Well, I think that's absolutely dynamite advice, and there are a few more we need to get through before the end of the show. But before that, we'll have some more music. It's not new music, but it's a B-side from Oasis that I haven't heard for a while, and it's always charming. Noel singing quite a beautiful song. Do You Want to Be a Spaceman? I think that might be the first time we've played Oasis on the show. I think it may be. I don't think we have before. 1994, and the B-side of the single Shaker Maker. That's Do You Want to Be a Spaceman? It's Mother's Day, of course, and we don't want to dwell on that for too long. I'm sure there are many mothers now enjoying a lovely Sunday roast, perhaps a beef eater. But I just quickly, it's an obvious opportunity to take a shout out to your mums. Word to your mother. Do you want to say a quick shout out to your mum?
My mum is exquisite. She is the yummy mummy, and I'd just like to say I love you very, very much.
Very sweet. I don't know if you're going to be able to top that, are you, Rufus?
I'm not. Susan Kathleen is my mother. I doubt she's listening. She was at church this morning. She's probably out having a pub lunch.
She's not she's not obsessive about new music. That surprises me.
My mum's got an extraordinary store of old music. She's one of those mums who, like a lot of people's mums, you simply say an everyday phrase like, oh, it's a bit cold out, and it's cold out, it's cold, and she'll come up with a wonderful kind of, Dixieland jazz version of what you've just said.
Yes, yeah. I know. I find that increasingly that I'm just hearing, every time someone says something, I just think of lyrics.
Exactly, yeah.
And I'm not really tuning in anymore to what they're saying. I'm just thinking of...
Your eyes glaze over.
Get back.
Yeah.
Get back to where you once belonged. And they've mentioned, I don't know, Hey Jude. Who knows? I just started thinking about other stuff.
Maybe they're trying to get you to step back from a bomb or something.
Exactly. Yeah.
And all you can think of is
just
that
screaming. Get back. Just across a busy.
Yeah.
You're in the middle of a motorway, drunk, and there's an articulated lorry coming at you, and they're screaming, "Get back! Get back!" That was written. I think that was written by. Was it written by John? But John or Paul? I think it's Paul on drums. And Harry, you love your mum.
Of course I do. All right, Ma. I just wish her happy Mother's Day. But of course I phoned her before the show and wished her the very best.
Listen, I've not taken that opportunity because I wanted to take this opportunity to say hi to my mum. I love you, Mother's Day, and I'm playing this, one of her favourite tunes.
Save
Moon
phone
River.
bills.
Absolutely, why not? It's Moon River, Andy Williams. For all the mums. Andy Williams, of course, and Moon River for mothers everywhere. Before the news, you want to squeeze in one more tune. This is Fionn Regan from a couple of years ago. Was it last year or the year before? Last year. And Be Good or Be Gone. Irish singer-songwriter Fionn Regan and Be Good or Be Gone on The Steve Show, BBC Six Music with me, Steve Merchant, and my gang of cronies. We have to go to the news. After that, we have new music in the Pigeonhole. We also have a live session here in the studio, Get Cape, Wear Cape, Fly, plus we'll have some more of your gentlemen's questions answered. Back after the news. Steve Show, BBC Six Music with me, Steve Merchant, playing a new single from Billy Bragg, I Keep Faith, which is from his forthcoming album, Mr. Love and Justice. And if all goes well, then Billy will be playing for us here in the studio on our big Super Sunday on the 20th of April, when we'll also hopefully have a session from Gary Lewis of the, is it Lewis? Lewis of the Jayhawks. So that should be something to put in the diary. Welcome back. Thank you for tuning in to this. We will be delving into the Pigeonhole shortly, but we had quite a lot of queries and questions for Super Posh Rufus, and he's been answering your conundrums, you know, as only a upper class gent could. And here's another question. Here we are. Let me get it for you. Okay. When asked how difficult you found completing a certain task, do you make out it was more difficult than it actually was, or do you go with false modesty? Perhaps putting up a shelf.
That's a very, very good question, that, isn't it? Who's that from? Is there a name on
there?
That
is from... no, there isn't a name.
That's an anonymous texter.
Yeah. Could be a lady.
It could be a lady, exactly. It could be a lady or a gentleman. I think the problem there is in the question.
Okay, you're querying the question. That's interesting.
What's the phrase false modesty is what's troubling me.
Sure.
I think that presupposes there's something false about modesty. There's nothing false about modesty.
Okay.
Modesty is the gentleman's kind of preferred means of expression.
Yes.
So there's nothing false about saying, oh, it was nothing. You know, oh, you've done this particular thing at work. Well, you know, that's fine. It was easy, just... Well, I've done it, and it's done now, and I hope you're happy with it.
Okay.
There's nothing false about that. That's just modesty. That's just under-presenting what you've completed.
Right.
I think a lot of being a gentleman is about crediting your audience with a gentlemanly behaviour as well. So you kind of assume that they're going to think more of what you did than you're giving it, if you see what I mean.
I see, okay. Now, that's interesting, because you obviously mix in circles where you are dealing with other gentlemen.
Well,
a lot of us, of course, aren't.
I don't know if I am. I mean, I walk down the street, the same streets you do, Steve. But, you know...
You walk down them in spats.
I make a clicking sound when I walk. That's the difference. So you just hope that if you say, well, you know, I put the shelves up. Oh, it's amazing. They say it's amazing, and you go, well, you know, it's fine. It didn't take too long, and you hope they think, God, it did take a long time, and he's worked very hard. And look at those beads of sweat, and you think, I hope they notice the beads of sweat. But it's all done in a very kind of benign and gentlemanly way.
So you're saying that all modesty is modesty. There's no such thing as false modesty.
Yeah, I think so. Unless you're giving it the big, oh, it was nothing. You know, you're showboating a little bit. In which case, obviously, steer clear of that as well. But certainly never implied it was harder than it looked.
I think the modern day gent would say, that's how I roll.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? Yeah. That's what the modern day gent would say.
Yeah. I've never said that.
Sure. Well, I think actually, this seems like a feature that could run and run.
Well,
in lieu of anything else to talk about, how do people get in touch if they want with gentlemanly questions? You know, I'd like to open that out. You know, I like to think that there's information I could impart about other things.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what that would be, though.
Well, some of the questions coming in, Steve, are referring to anecdotes you've told in the past or situations in which you found yourself. And people are asking what my advice would have been on your predicament.
Oh, well, that's fantastic. That's nice. The public service works both ways.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get to some of those after we've listened to some new music from the Pigeonhole. Each week we get inundated with loads of new music. I ploughed through it, did it on a long car journey today, and I dig out a couple of tunes which I feel you, the listener, should have heard. You should be forming an opinion on. This one, Hercules and Love Affair. And now, which one is passing themselves off as Hercules or Love Affair? What's his name from Anthony and the Johnsons?
Yeah, I don't
you don't know. That's
I
the kind of information.
Love Affair.
You would think he's probably Love Affair. So Anthony from Anthony and Johnson's and a bunch of other people got together, made this kind of curious kind of New York disco track. Here it is, Blind. The track is Blind. The artists, Hercules and Love Affair. When's it released, Steve? Tomorrow. Do you like it, Sammy?
The first time I heard it, I really, really thought I did, and then after that, I didn't. And it's one of those things that...
That's a heck of a review, that.
Well, you realise that a song's having little effect on you when you notice that the lighting in the studio could be used to segment and core an apple. So,
What?
yeah,
true.
look up, it really could. See?
Oh, the light fitting, you mean?
Yeah.
A pretty large apple.
Well, they happen. The Crab, for example. I did like it on first listen because I love Anthony and I love Anthony and the Johnsons, and I think his work with Rufus Wainwright is amazing. That had the back rhythm of Sylvester's You Make Me Feel Mighty Real.
Nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with that, but I don't know if his voice works with it.
Sure.
He sounds better in a surreal